Heads Up Play, episode 43. I am Sam McDonald, a.k.a. Sam the Sweaty Boy. Stumbling my words a little bit. Sam the Sweaty Boy, joined, as always, by the one and only Cowboy, a.k.a. John Rivers Nix, a.k.a. Cowboy. How we feeling on this Sunday? We're coming a little late, guys, but we've got it for you.
Man, I'm feeling good, man. We got a lot going on. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we got them all hashed out. We're ready to attack this show. We got a lot we're going to talk about today. We're just talking about two topics, but one of the topics is a big topic. And, we're big college football guys. We're going to talk about today on the top 10 most anticipated college football games of the 2024 season.
Yeah, very excited. Obviously, we've talked about college football a lot on the show. As I got to going through the list, I kind of sat there and thought at a lot of the, number basically 10 through 5, any of those games could have been considered the biggest game in any of the prior seasons that we've had. With the conference realignment, the changing of the playoffs and everything, we've got some really interesting games. I mean, that we have not really seen before. And Michigan, Texas, even some of the conference games like Alabama and Georgia. I mean, how often do they play in the regular season? Rarely at all.
I mean, you got that. Then you got in the Big Ten. You got the new team. When do you see Ohio State play Oregon?
I mean,
Michigan playing Oregon. I mean,
look, let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get into it. Top 10, starting off with number 10 on the list. We've got what is one of the best rivalry games in the SEC.
Very underrated.
Very underrated. I mean, but it's one of the biggest games in the conference every year. One of the biggest games in the entire season every year. Surprised we don't have a name for it yet. Everybody just still calls it Alabama and LSU. Here we go. Brian Kelly getting to host Kalen DeBoer in his first season at Alabama. Are we going to give it, I don't know if we're going to give score predictions, are we? Are we going to predict outcomes of games? No. Okay. So we're just going to talk about.
We're just going to talk about how big the game is.
I mean, yeah, this game, I appreciate that we put this a little bit lower at 10. Because is it a big game? Yes. It could be a lot higher. There's just so many question marks surrounding LSU right now.
But the thing is, though, with this game, I cannot think of a game. Maybe when Bama beat them out 26-0, there has not been a game that has not been a nail biter, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
In the last 10 years, I mean, this game is always. This to me, as a Bama fan, has kind of taken over the Iron Bowl in the sense of, I love the Iron Bowl. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to rivalries, I'm nail biting at this one. I'm always worried about what LSU is going to do.
Well, in LSU, to your point, Auburn will show up every single time in the Iron Bowl in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Yeah.
In Bryant-Denny, Auburn rarely ever shows up. Usually a blowout. LSU, on the other hand, they're coming to play no matter where you're playing. I mean, you look back at this year, the score did not show how close that game was. I mean, Jaden Daniels ran all over Alabama. 2019, the Joe Burrow game, I mean, that game was one of the greatest games I've ever watched, even after we lost.
I mean, I would almost go to say LSU's, if not the most, they definitely have the second most talent always behind Alabama.
Sure.
And that's even with Georgia's Kirby Smart's teams. Les Miles had some athletes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Ed Ogeron had some athletes.
Coach O, oh my God. I mean, that 2019 team, when you look on how many of the starters on defense and offense ended up in the NFL and where they're playing at now, I mean, my God. I
mean, it's, Louisiana is a recruiting hotbed. They have a lot of really, really big-time high school football there, both in Baton Rouge and in New Orleans and over the rest of the state. They do a really good job recruiting in Texas and some other places. I think Brian Kelly has done well. We'll see how their defense stacks up. Kalen DeBoer teams, if you watch them, obviously they're very offensive heavy, but they're still really balanced. They can come at you with some
Yeah.
defense, and I'm really excited to see what Kane Womack, Mo Linguist bring to the table on the defensive side. This game could be even way bigger than what we're putting it at. I mean, I don't think it's going to be top 3 for what we have, but no matter what, I mean, this game is going to be incredible.
And people's not talking about it. LSU's going to set the precedent this year. Their first game in Las Vegas against USC, that's going to set that game is an honorable mention on this list. That game is going to set the precedent of the season. That could set everything.
Before we move a little bit further, did you notice that that concept there of that first game of the season on a neutral site is kind of going away now? I mean, that's really like the only one, the only big one.
Is Clemson, Georgia?
That one is in Atlanta, and I want to say those are really the only 2 big ones.
Tennessee, I think, has one with Virginia. I thought. Let me look, because they played at the Titan Stadium last year.
They did. I do think
let me see if it's like one of them, like 1-and-1s.
It might be. Now I do like what they're doing here. Remember what LSU did with Florida State, where it was a home and home, but not on their home stadium. Like they played it in Orlando when it was FSU's home team,
and then it was New Orleans.
And in New Orleans for LSU. I really liked that. That brought a bit of a different vibe than just
they're not.
Alabama
are not doing
playing.
That.
Interesting.
Tennessee is not.
And I like that because I do. I enjoy more games at home sites. I mean, you look at like when Alabama was constantly in Atlanta or Dallas to start the season.
Always.
I mean, that gives you only 5 games at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So I enjoy that they're going back to this. But let's move on a little bit. At number 9, Texas and Oklahoma, the first Red River rivalry in the SEC. Man, I'm excited about this one.
If Oklahoma was a little bit better, this game was going to be higher on the list. But with the uncertainty with Oklahoma after losing your quarterback, losing your offensive coordinator, I mean, there's a lot of questions about Oklahoma. But I'm going to tell you, still, this game right now, it's a top 5 rivalry. That's not even at the end of the season. That's the crazy part about it.
Yeah, it's always at the middle of the season, which I always thought, like, why don't they put it at the end of the season? But you've already got the Iron Bowl and the game at the end of the season. They know they can't really compete with those 2 games. And you get a big-time rivalry in the middle of the season when some other not-so-big games are going on, with the exception of this year.
The setting is just, I mean, you got the fair going on outside of the stadium.
The Texas State Fair.
Yes. And, I mean, I just think it's a classic game. It's just really fun to watch. These last 2 years, they've been, I mean, to the last play kind of games.
They've been, I mean, some games are very offensive heavy like it was last year. Some games are very defensive heavy. I mean, they are absolute shootouts. I mean, when they say a Red River shootout, that is what it is. I mean, it comes down to the wire all the time. Oklahoma had a big upset. Remember, that kind of changed the playoff outlook. I mean, when Oklahoma pulled that upset with Dylan Gabriel going crazy in that game. Now, Texas, of course, ended up making the playoffs, but only because Alabama beat Georgia in that game. If Alabama had not lost, if Texas had just beaten Oklahoma, then their playoff, drive was just like that.
Yeah.
So, really fun game. I like that it's always in the day. Now, in the past, I want to say like 10 or 15 years, this game has been noon kickoff. It's always been that noon kickoff now. Now they're moving it to a 2:30 Central Time kickoff.
I love the 2:30 kickoff.
It is perfect.
Game, yeah.
It is perfect. I wish we could have gotten to see this game on CBS. Man, that would have been incredible because I love CBS's, SEC on CBS. But I think it'll be a lot of fun. So let's move on now. Number 8, what do we got?
Oregon at Michigan.
At Michigan. This is going to be an interesting one.
So this game could have been higher, but I'm not going to tell you what I think Michigan's record's going to be later down the road because I don't really know at it by looking at the schedule, but I just know by November 12th, they're not going to be too good. So if they're undefeated and Oregon's undefeated, oh yeah, this game's higher. This game's high.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be interesting to see how Oregon is in the Michigan weather in November. I'm very interested to see that.
Yeah, because Oregon obviously gets cold. It snows and everything, but it don't get Michigan cold. They don't have the humidity that Michigan has, which obviously makes it colder. Oregon's a lot more. I just think I don't know how to put it.
You was in Michigan last year, around not that time, but you was around
a little
there
bit later.
in November. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It is cold, man. It is cold. So, and I think Oregon will be fine playing in it. I just think it's going to be interesting to see Oregon go to some of these Big Ten schools and see them play there. Same with Washington, which we don't have Washington on any of our listed games. But we've got Oregon on another one here coming up at Autzen Stadium, and we'll get into that one. But
it's just cool because you don't see these matchups unless it's a bowl game or it's a playoff.
Or a playoff, yeah.
I mean,
and
you
look,
just don't see it.
This one here, as is the next one that we have with Oregon, could have serious Big Ten championship, winnings on the line. I don't even know how to say that. I mean, because you look at the top of the Big Ten right now with the additions of Washington and Oregon. We don't know what Washington's going to be with Jed Fish. And they did lose a good bit of players.
You're not going to have that in UCLA.
You're not going to have that in UCLA. You're not going to have that in USC, most likely, because they don't have a defense. You got to have defense to play in the Big Ten. But Oregon's going to be up there. I do think Michigan is going to fall off slightly, but I still do think that they're going to be pretty good. I mean, they've retained a lot of their players. They just lost a ton from last season. And then Ohio State. So, I mean, that's your top three right there, unless, maybe Penn State does something. Iowa, who knows?
I'm just going to say this, though. It's kind of crazy to think that out of the new Power Four, there's a possibility that 3 of those conferences will be won by 3 new teams, with the Big 12 being Utah, SEC being Texas, and the Big 10 being Oregon. That's kind of crazy to think about.
That's huge. That is huge. Don't throw. I forgot about Utah in the Big 12. I mean, they're kind of a shoe-in.
And the thing is, they said the Pac-12 didn't play no good. I mean, they won 2. They're going to win 2 divisions. They're going to win 2 conferences. That's crazy to think.
Yeah.
But that's for another episode, another day. It's just kind of mind blowing to me. But
incredible.
So show us what we got for 7.
It's numbers. What in the world just happened?
Number 7.
Number 7.
Hey guys, you want to go play baseball?
Baseball. Number 7. I didn't even know this game was happening until you sent it to me. I hadn't even heard of this. Florida State at Notre Dame. What?
Yeah.
No.
That it's kind of a sleeper. Nobody's talking about it. I think this game is a big game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you got to look. I think Notre Dame's a shoo-in for the playoff. The 12-team playoff it's like a lock for Notre Dame because they're always 2-loss, 3-loss. I think Notre Dame's a lock, and Florida State, in my opinion, is probably the favorite for the ACC. Could have went with Clemson, Florida State, but I was like, no, this is 2 perennial playoff teams. Give me this game. I think this is a make or break year for Marcus Freeman, in my opinion.
Well, and this might just be the one true road test for Florida State. I mean, you've got Clemson at home this year. You've got Florida at home. And then the rest of the ACC, who do you have to compete against? Duke is not going to be anywhere near what they did last year. SMU, Stanford,
Cal,
come on.
I mean, you didn't get nobody crazy from the Pac-12. I mean, Miami? Come on.
Miami, maybe. We'll see how they do with Cam Ward, Mario Cristobal in his, I want to say year 3 now. We shall see. But yeah, this is a big one. And like you said, don't sleep on Notre Dame. I mean, I like what Marcus Freeman has been doing recruiting and through the portal. And
now they got Duke's quarterback Riley Leonard from Alabama. I mean, this is a year for Notre Dame. I mean, I said it last year with Sam Hartman, but I think Riley Leonard's a 10 times better quarterback than Sam Hartman. So we'll see how that goes this year for Notre Dame. But this is a make or break year, in my opinion, Marcus Freeman. This will show me, is he going to stick around for a while or is he going to get fired?
I agree. Like you said, this playoff format really good for Notre Dame. I mean, it's almost, unless they just have like As long as Notre Dame can probably go 9-3, you would
They'll
think
make it
they should get in no matter what
easily.
with that 10, 11, 12 spot.
Easily.
But let's move on. Number 6.
This is a big sleeper game in the SEC. Nobody's talking about it.
Georgia at Ole Miss. I want to say the last time Georgia played at Ole Miss was like 2017 or something like that. Just one of those games where, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Georgia, for whatever reason, I feel like you rarely ever see them go to what were SEC West teams.
No, I agree. I agree.
It had been since 2020 since they went to Alabama, and that was a COVID year. And before that, it was 2007, I think. And then they rarely go to Mississippi State. It had been years since they went to LSU. I don't know why, but Georgia just seems to get the benefit there with those what were SEC West teams, but not now. Georgia's got a tough schedule this year.
I mean, it's possible Georgia could lose 2 games this year.
Absolutely.
Which is just crazy to think. This is by far their hardest schedule they've had in the last 3 years. Easily.
Absolutely. But I mean, to your point, Ole Miss, look, Lane Kiffin has just killed the transfer portal. I do think that he needs to step up his regular high school recruiting just a little bit to be at the true upper echelon. But, I mean, what he's done on the defensive end, getting some guys, I mean, it's just been incredible to watch. And Vaught Hemingway Stadium is a smaller SEC stadium, but it is going to be rocking.
Rocking. Oh, my. And if it's a nighttime game, which it should be.
It should be.
Either that or the LSU. Let me just tell you, by the way, looking at the schedule right now, November 9th is going to be the best weekend of college football of the year, in my opinion. You have Alabama at LSU, Georgia at Ole Miss, Oklahoma at Missouri, Mississippi State at Tennessee, Florida at Texas, where is it? Washington at Penn State, Florida State at Notre Dame. Look at that line.
Where does game day go?
Oh my God! I think you got to go to the Grove. I think you got to go to the Grove.
I think you do. I think you do. If both teams,
LSU's not undefeated, if LSU's undefeated and Alabama's undefeated, and if they're not, you go to the Grove.
I think you're right. I think if Ole Miss is as good as we are expecting them to be, and Georgia should most certainly be as good as we are expecting them to be, I think you have to go there, 100%. But this could most certainly be a losable game for Georgia. And this could really be the game, I think, if Lane Kiffin somehow pulls that off, that could be what really sets him over the top. Because he's been, we've been asking for years now with Lane at Ole Miss, when is he going to get the real big win? He kind of got it last year with the LSU game, but LSU kind of fell off there after that. Will he finally get the true big-time win? If he does this game, you would have to put Lane Kiffin up there with some of the best coaches in the country, and I already think he is. But at number 5, the game.
Oh, yes.
You can't – I mean, this game
as a Bama
always –
fan, I mean, the Iron Bowl is our biggest rivalry. I know I said the LSU's game been kind of pretty – it's been good the last couple of years. We have the Tennessee rivalry. We have the Auburn – but you can't beat this rivalry. The last 5 years, this game has been – oh, my God.
Well, look, we've talked about it before. Obviously, we think the Iron Bowl is the best rivalry in college football, if not sports. But the implications that this game has held every single year, I mean,
God.
It's been national championship, Big Ten championship implications every year.
I mean, it's who's going to the playoffs or not.
It's who's going to the playoffs or not, yes. And Alabama and Auburn, while I think we have so much more better games, greater moments, but I do agree 100% this game just means more in terms of championships and going forward.
And I just felt it's been the last 5 or 10 years. Like, yeah, it's always been a great rivalry, but my God, the games have been great in the last 5 years. I mean, they have shaped the playoffs.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and they've been really cool to watch, too. I mean, especially some of the ones in the big house where it starts snowing and stuff. Really cool. I do think that Ryan Day probably wins this game because, I just did not think Sharon Moore was a great hire for Michigan. And Ryan Day has just gone nuclear in the transfer portal and the
I mean,
recruiting.
he's built a super team.
I mean, they're going to be freaking good, man. And don't forget Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator. I mean, come on now.
I mean, this is an NFL roster that he's built.
Yeah,
it gives me vibes of like a 2019 LSU team.
Easily. Are they preseason number 1 or Georgia?
They haven't released it yet.
They haven't released it yet. I've seen a couple like predicted rankings, and I think they've put Ohio State at 1. Some have put Georgia at 1.
Yeah.
But for Ohio State,
I'll get into Ryan Day once we go to the next game for Ohio State, because I
Okay,
got a lot
alright.
to say about Ryan Day.
But as always,
I know
again,
he is counting his praises that Harbaugh's not there.
Oh,
It was the
my
other way
gosh.
around a couple of years ago. It was Harbaugh. Thank God Urban's not there.
Absolutely.
Now
Absolutely. I would think unless Dan Lanning kind of really gets something going at Oregon, who also is kind of like that Lane Kiffin, like he just can't seem to win the big game yet. If he can, I think Dan Lanning might be up there. But Ryan Day right now is the number 1 coach in the Big Ten since Harbaugh has left. But let's get into the top 4 here. At number 4, this one is one of the most exciting games, one of the coolest games I think we're going to see earlier in the season.
especially with it being a non-conference.
With it being non-conference, you never see these teams play at all. And for Texas to go upstairs to Michigan, wow. At the big house, this is going to be crazy.
This Texas team, I know I just said them, but this reminds me of when the 2019 LSU team, they already said they had a hard schedule. So what they did? They, in the non-conference, they scheduled Texas. This reminds me, they have a tough schedule, Texas does. So you know what they're going to do? They're going non-conference, they're going to schedule the reigning national champions. I love that. I love it
too. At Michigan, at that. Now, this is too early in the season for, like cold weather to come into play. Obviously, if this was later in the season,
maybe
Texas would get smoked. I think they're just not going to be able to keep up in that cold weather that Michigan is just used to. But in September, it's still going to be pretty warm up there.
Let me see if the lines.
I don't even know. I would give the upper hand to Texas, but you never know. Maybe Sharon Moore comes out hot early in the season. The big house is going crazy. I have no clue. I'm just excited to see these two teams play.
This is another game that shapes the season. I'm gonna tell you what.
I think so.
Let me see what the line is.
I mean, this is just like Texas going to Alabama last year.
7th. So, I mean, this is a pretty big week 2 game right here, because usually week 2 games ain't nothing. But
So you said -7 for Texas?
I haven't found it yet. I guess
okay.
It is Texas -3.5.
3.5. I mean, that's not a lot. That line could move after week 1, depending on how both teams do. But yeah, this is really, really exciting. Big game for Steve Sarkisian, because he's also another one of those coaches who also can't seem to really win the big game. I mean, he hasn't beat Kalen DeBoer in Washington. He lost against Oklahoma last year in the Red River rivalry.
I mean, the only notable win he has is Bama. I mean, Texas
is Bama. Is Bama. Yeah, which that was a big game, of course.
Yeah.
But top 3 now. Now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes.
This game is massive, 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 massive. Ryan Day has built a roster. I'm gonna make I think Ryan Day is the worst coach in college football. He was born on third base, but he thought he hit a triple. You can't. I mean, that's what Harbaugh said. People think they've hit a home run, but hell, buddy, you was born on third base. He ain't done nothing at Ohio State. He has never won the big game. Nothing. The only big game he was in was the COVID year, the national championship, and the Alabama Crimson Tide beat the hell out of them.
Beat the brakes off of them.
Because they threw a fit. We've only played. We couldn't play all them games because of COVID. We should still be in it. Okay, buddy. Well, let's show you what happens when you don't play all of your games.
No, you're right. And look, this game right here.
If he don't win this game, I mean, my God, he is handing it to Dan Lanning. You have built a roster. You got Will Howard. You got what's the dude's name? Caleb Downs from Alabama. You got 2 elite running backs. Elite. And you can't beat Oregon? Come on, man. I'm telling you, this game is massive. If I'm telling you, I kind of, you heard rumbles last year. Is Day going to leave? Is Day going to get fired? Is Day going to go to Texas A&M? I'm telling you, I think this is the year. If he does not go to the playoffs, he's done. He's fired.
Wow. Wow.
Or he's on the hot seat. I'm telling you, he is going to be the next Jimbo Fisher.
Wow. We'll see how that goes. Not a terrible take whatsoever.
I don't think he's I don't think he's won much.
I mean, he definitely has benefited from being at Ohio State. I mean, put Ryan Day at, let's just say, in Oregon. I mean, does he have the same results? Who knows? But this game right here is going to be crazy. I want you to close your eyes and think back to the year 2011. 2008 to 14. Anywhere around there.
I'm thinking
this stadium right here was one of the hardest places to play in college football.
It was
one of the loudest places. And with the downfall of the Pac-12 and all of those other teams that only Oregon and Washington were able to survive, the aura of Autzen Stadium, what they used to call the Autzen Zoo, diminished. It's still always been a hugely, incredibly hard place to play at, and it's so loud because the way they designed it, as you can see in that picture there, it just does such a good job of keeping the sound in. It's kind of like the swamp in Florida. I am excited for Autzen Stadium, the Autzen Zoo, to explode once again because we have not seen it since that era, way back when the Pac-12 was still really, really good. And this game is going to be the game. This place is going to be loud as hell, man. I am excited for this one, and I really think Oregon will probably win it.
I'm big on Oregon this year. Big on Oregon.
I think home field advantage is just going to play such a huge part in this one here. But, yeah, massive game for sure, October 12th. That'll be a big one. I'm sure game day will be at that one.
Let me see what other games are going to be there, but it should be that one. I don't see why you would not want to be there. October 12th?
October 12th. There's going to be that, remember whenever they do game day on the West Coast, they have to start at like 5 a.m. over there. So the sun is always still down.
You possibly have Ole Miss at LSU.
That could be a good one.
Florida at Tennessee, Penn State at USC, Stanford at Notre Dame. I mean, it's between LSU, Ole Miss, and this one.
All right, number 2. Georgia at Texas.
Big game.
Huge.
This game could have been number 1, to be honest.
Yeah. Again, Georgia has a tough schedule. Sorry, Dog fans. Y'all have benefited from being in that easy SEC East where you have no competition, where maybe one other team is good every year, like a Missouri, maybe a Florida one year, maybe a Kentucky, South Carolina. Sorry, there ain't no divisions in the SEC no more, and you got 2 big boys coming in. And you got to go to the bigger one right now this season in Texas. It is not going to be easy. And October 19th, let me tell you, getting into October in the South, that's when it starts to get a little cool, a little cold, that fall weather. October in Austin, Texas is still blazing hot. Hot, man. God forbid if they put this game during the day. Oh, my goodness.
Right now, the line is Georgia minus a 1.5.
That is incredible. This game is going to be awesome.
It's going to be good, man. I mean, this is potentially the future of who wins the SEC.
Let me ask you this.
Minus Alabama.
Let me ask you this before we get into our number 1. What is the likelihood on a scale of 1 to 10 that there will be an undefeated team in the SEC through the regular season? I'm only going to
Are we talking about through SEC conference or through the schedule?
Through games 1 through 12. I mean, will we have any undefeated SEC team? I'm going to say no, and I'm going to put the likelihood at only like a 3.5 that there will be.
Give me like maybe a 5. I think you'll have either the 3 be Georgia, Texas, or Alabama.
Okay. Alabama actually benefits from, aside from what we're about to get into, a hard schedule, but could be a little bit easier than we think.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get into it. Number 1, and we're not choosing this because we're Bammers. Because
No,
if we were, we would have a lot more Alabama on the list. This game right here.
I mean, this is, I don't think people realize, this is massive. Kalen DeBoer's first SEC game. And it's Georgia at your house. What is this, nighttime game?
This is most certainly going to be nighttime.
I think they've already released the time. Yeah, 6:30. I mean, this time has been out for months. And it's on ABC too. They don't ever put out week 4 games right now. It's only the first 3 weeks. They've had week 4. This went out forever.
You remember, as soon as this game was announced,
the hotels were booked up.
The hotels in Tuscaloosa were booked up within like an hour. I mean, you can't find a ticket right now because I looked. You cannot find a ticket cheaper than like $400.
I'm looking right now on SeatGeek. See where they're at.
This game
the cheapest ticket right now for Bama and Georgia is $298. That's no fees, nothing. $298.
So they've dropped a little bit, but that's still, I mean, $298.
To sit 50-yard line, $800.
Unbelievable.
$800 to $1,000. That's crazy.
Unbelievable. And you know what? I hate to say it, but that might be worth the money. And that might be the correct price for that. For this game right here. If this was a Nick Saban game, I don't think that it would be quite as big. It would still be massive, but with this, like you said, being Kalen DeBoer's first SEC game at home, under the lights, in Bryant-Denny Stadium, Dixieland Delight's going to be going crazy. This is going to be just so much fun to watch, and this is the game that will tell Alabama fans and the rest of the college football world just who Kalen DeBoer is. If he wins this game, he will have planted his foot as truly the next generation of Alabama football. 100%.
No, he will. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Question.
Okay.
Did we put Roll Tide Willie on this big board?
Yes. No.
I hate him. I hate him.
At this point, I don't hate Willie.
No. That's how he goes. He goes, Willie, do you like Georgia? I hate him.
I hate him.
Oh, I hate him.
Well, I hate Auburn. Well, them buzzers. The buzzers. Look, I enjoy Roll Tide Willie. I think he's actually kind of helped us in some recruiting and other things. But that's about it. I don't think we need to be putting him on the Jumbotron like we do with Scott Cochran, because at least he was a coach. But look, this game is going to be crazy, man. I got to figure out what I'm doing for this game. I don't know if I want to tailgate. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to go there because I'm not buying tickets to that shit.
No. My ass will be parked on my couch, and no one will be at my house. I will be watching it by myself in the dark room, locked, preferably, and I will tell my family to leave the arena because I will be screaming the whole entire game.
Good way to put it. Because that's probably what I'm going to be doing.
Dude, I got a system. I got a whole outfit I wear. I wear my khaki shorts in the morning with my Alabama polo. Go do whatever I need to go do in the day. And then when nighttime comes, I put on my black shorts with my Joe Namath jersey, and I'm ready to go. And I started a new tradition. I did it while Bama's March Madness. I chew 2 pieces of bubble gum in the first half, and then I spit that out. And then I get me 2 more pieces of bubble gum, and I put that in for the second half.
Oh. I want to take half a gummy, call Fat Rob. You remember that from First Take when Mad Dog was talking about his drug dealer?
Stephen A, you're wrong.
Wrong, Stephen A. I respect you a lot. Paul Feinbaum. I really like your show. All right, but that is our top 10 most anticipated college football
I'm
games of
shaking.
2024.
I need football to be here, man. I need football to be here so bad. Just give me something. Give me something. I mean, I've been watching the Birmingham Stallions. Damn it, give me
man,
something.
they killed it. They killed it yesterday.
I'm down to Skip Holtz.
All right. Well, I'll explain real quickly why I am so ready for college football season to get started. And that's because our beloved Atlanta Braves, who are you are repping today, have
slumping.
Just done more than slumping. They have totally shit the bed. Excuse my French. They have shit the bed in the year 2024. I do not know what has happened. Our best player is out for the season. Our best pitcher is out for the season. Our bats are not working whatsoever, even without them. This season, I do think at this point is a waste to really pay hard attention to if you're a fan, because the likelihood of us going far is slim to nothing unless Alex Anthopoulos makes some crazy moves. Who really knows? But we don't have the farm to give away, and our farm system probably got even less valuable today because our number 2 prospect, who I was really excited to see because I've watched him in college, the one and only Hurston Waldrop, first-round pick for the Braves in 2023, looked pretty good to start off, didn't he, John Rivers?
Yeah, he did. Before we get started, to go back to what you saying that lineup, this is the batting average. Marcell Ozuna, 312. If it wasn't for with 18 home runs, 55 RBIs. If it wasn't for Marcell Ozuna, my God, I don't know where to be. Second highest, we have Jared Kelenic batting 265. Ozzy batting 265. You had Acuna bat 250. Michael Harris 248. Matt Olson 239. Arcia 230. Riley 230. Duvall is batting 180.
Oh my God.
Darno's 246, while Sean Murphy is 147.
I mean, it's just pitiful. It's pitiful.
I mean, I put them on today, and I took a nap. I fell asleep.
I put them on and because, look, I'm going to be real with you. You and I are massive Braves fans. We really are. I mean, look, we act like we're kind of not on
I'm
the
not
show.
a bandwagoner, I promise you. I've been through the days.
We are really, really, really big Braves fans. I mean, I was watching every single game last season. This season, I'm sorry, before today, I had not watched a game in maybe 2 months. Granted, I've had a lot of other stuff going on outside of, with work and stuff and heads up play. And college football offseason is going crazy. But, I mean, this has not been a fun team to watch. I mean, and this is a team that had historic offensive numbers last year, so you know that they're capable of hitting the ball. Just for some reason, I don't know if Kevin Seitzer has changed something up or if he's just become a terrible hitting coach. Something is going to have to change, man, because...
I mean, I don't know. We had Hurston Waldrop come up today, and I kind of think it was hey, everybody, here's what he looks like. Let's watch him today, and then it kind of think it backfired on us. So now we was going to get some trades for him. We ain't going to get heavy load now. They've talked about Luis Roberts maybe for the Braves from the White Sox. Now they're saying he won't. They want a Juan Soto return for Luis Roberts, which I think is preposterous because he's nowhere near Juan Soto level, but I get why they say that.
Well, remember they said the same thing for Dylan Cease. They were like, we want 3 major league level guys for Dylan Cease or something like that, or 3 top 100 prospects, something like that.
I just feel like when these other teams make trades that they give up nothing, but we have to give up the whole farm system to get them.
Yeah, and usually it works out, but you're right. I mean, we've tanked the farm. We've got like the 2nd or 3rd or worst ranked farm in the MLB right now. I mean, it's not good whatsoever. We just don't have anything to give up. I do think that this season is a waste. I'm sorry, but look, we're not bad Braves fans. We're good Braves fans. We don't want. Look, we've stuck through the Braves through their bad times. It don't mean we have to watch every single game, though. I'm telling you that right now. Look,
I want to find a Braves fan that watches every single game, every single inning, and I want to call them a liar to their face.
You can't. It's 162 games a year. I did it last year. No, I still wasn't able to watch every single game.
Nobody can watch every single game. That's the thing. You just can't. That's 162 days.
Yeah,
Days.
yeah. I mean, half the year you're dividing your attention to a baseball team. So, and look, the college football offseason has just been going so crazy this year that there's been a lot to talk about outside of baseball.
We had that, and then of course, with us being Alabama basketball fans,
And basketball.
We had the Final Four to kind of delay our season with the Braves.
Yeah, absolutely.
But kind of like the great words of Brian Snicker, we're just going through some things. We're just going through some things.
Oh yeah, you know, we're just going through some things. Oh yeah, you know, whatever. But maybe the Braves will figure it out. Hurston Waldrop looks good. I think he had like just a couple hits prior to, I want to say, the fourth inning, and then he
was doing good, and then it blew up.
7 runs. Yeah. And Hurston Waldrop, we knew he's a guy who has a great split finger. Like, once he has it down, probably the best splitter in all of baseball, that good. But everything else isn't quite that good, and he does have some control issues that they're trying to work on, and he kind of showed that today.
Yeah.
For sure. But all right, guys, I think that does it. Well, no, it does not do it. We got a question of the day, don't we?
It's good. Yeah, it's like the fourth one that's not food related, dude. I think I'm making progress towards life. So I got a question. Who has a better career? We're gonna go with entertainment on this one. Seth Rogen or Steve Carell?
All right. So I got to looking at this, and I didn't realize how even these two dudes were.
I'm telling you. When you look it up, they're very even.
I mean, both have an estimated net worth of about $80 million. So, I mean, that tells you just right there. Usually you can just look at the net worth and tell. But Steve Carell has a lot of movies, and The Office, which is extremely successful. I'm not a big Office guy, but I can, admit how successful it is. And then Seth Rogen has a ton of movies that are.
He's directed a couple.
He's directed a lot. Done a lot of those Judd Apatow films that are all stupid as hell but hilarious. I don't know. I'm gonna give the nod here.
Give me Carell.
I'm gonna go Carell slightly.
I looked at it as did their movies make money, and Carell has one of the most profitable franchises ever in history.
That being,
it's not even Despicable Me.
I forget that he plays Gru. I forget that that's him.
I mean, you got to think about it. He is Despicable Me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're releasing the fourth movie, and they're expecting. I mean, the first movie made $543 million. Second movie made. Okay. I'm on Despicable Me 3 right now. So you got $500 million on the first one.
People like them minions.
Despicable Me 3, $1.0 billion, $1 billion. The Despicable Me 3. Let me find the third one. I've got to find the second one because I think the second one was the most profitable one.
$1 billion for the third one?
Yes.
Holy crap!
That's like
that's Endgame
and then
level shit.
Second one was $971 million.
That's Avengers level shit.
I mean,
wow.
I want to say Despicable Me 3 is the most profitable animated movie of all time.
Wow. I'm learning some stuff today.
I'm about to say, so you got that, and then you got another Judd Apatow movie that he stars in The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Great movie.
You got he played in Evan Almighty. He played in. You gotta realize, he's Anchorman. I mean, he was with Anchorman. Like he's been I mean, I'm telling you, dude, he is a movie star. People just don't talk about it. He is an underrated comedy star, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Now with Seth Rogen, not discrediting Seth Rogen, you had Knocked Up, great movie. You had Superbad, probably one of, if not the funniest, probably the funniest movie of the 2000s. It's up there with Step Brothers, in my opinion. You got Pineapple Express. I think it's a little bit overrated. The Interview that almost started World War III. You have.
Don't forget the greatest Joe Rogan movie of all time, Sausage Party.
And now they're coming out on Amazon Prime to show that the ending. I'm not gonna tell y'all what the ending is of that movie, but that's the most disturbing ending I think I've ever seen in my life.
You have to be. He had to have been on so much weed to have made that movie. And let's not forget underrated Seth Rogen series, Neighbors. I really enjoyed Neighbors with Zac Efron and Dave Franco.
Neighbors. Now Seth Rogen was in a animated movie, and it made more money than Despicable Me 3, but he had a small role. He was just Donkey Kong. Super Mario Brothers. It made 1.3 billion. I expect Despicable Me 4 to blow them out of the water because I want to see how much they've made on the last film. That the Rise of Gru, whatever that was.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, what was that stupid Seth Rogen movie about the pickle guy?
Oh, Pickle Man, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
So the last Gru movie made 939 million. I really think that Minions 4 is gonna. I think that's probably gonna be the most. Well, I don't know. That's a question for another day. What movie in the summer, the rest of the summer? That'll be our next question of the day. Which movie for the rest of the summer is gonna win? Have the most money towards the end?
Okay, I like that. All right, guys. Well, we are running a good bit over our time. We're going back on old episode schedule here with our time, but that does it. Episode 43 of the Heads Up Play podcast. Be sure to check out our SEC preview episode coming out soon, maybe later today, tomorrow, Tuesday, who knows. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, X, whatever you want to call it. I messed that up, whatever. And be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Leave a comment on whatever you think. Give us your most anticipated college football game of 2024. Let us know why.
Battle for the belt. Battle for the belt.
Yeah. Comment. We coming for it. We coming for it this year, baby. South in your mouth. All right. Hit him with it.
Hey, you stay classy.